The scream cut through the cold air like a crack in the sky, small but sharp enough to stop every passing breath. In the middle of a snow-covered road, under a pale winter sun, a little boy stood frozen with fear spilling from his eyes, his mittens shaking as tears traced warm lines down his cheeks. He was not crying for a toy or a scraped knee. He was crying because his whole world had suddenly vanished. He couldn't find his dad, and the silence around him felt louder than any storm. If you believe that kindness and second chances can change lives, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, Grandma Dearie. Stories like this remind us that compassion still exists, even in the coldest moments. Officer Mara Voss had been on duty since early morning, the kind of shift that settles deep into the bones. The winter road stretched endlessly behind her, lined with tall trees heavy with snow, the daylight clean and sharp against the white ground. She noticed the child immediately, standing alone where no child should ever be. Something in the way he clutched his hands together made her chest tighten before her mind could catch up. She approached slowly, kneeling to bring herself to his level, aware that in moments like these, authority mattered less than warmth. The boy's name was Rowan. He was 6 years old, bundled in a blue jacket that looked too thin for the cold, and his eyes kept darting behind her as if hoping someone would suddenly appear. Rowan had been traveling with his father when their old car slid off the road earlier that day. It wasn't a dramatic crash, just a slow skid into a shallow ditch hidden by snow. His father had told him to wait while he went to get help. Minutes turned into hours. The daylight moved on, but no one came back. Rowan wandered from the car, calling out until his voice broke, and somehow ended up on the road where Officer Mara found him. The fear he carried wasn't just of being lost, it was the terrifying thought that maybe his father had chosen not to return. Mara wrapped her gloved hands gently around Rowan's, feeling how cold they were, and made a decision that would change the rest of her day. Protocol said to call it in and wait for backup, but something deeper told her that waiting wasn't enough. She led him to her patrol car, turned up the heat, and gave him a wool cap she kept for emergencies. As Rowan's shivering slowed, he began to breathe easier, but his eyes never stopped searching. Mara saw more than a lost child. She saw a reflection of her own past, growing up with uncertainty, learning early what it felt like to hope for someone who didn't always come back. The search began immediately. Mara coordinated with dispatch, scanned the nearby woods, and followed the faint tire marks barely visible beneath the snow. Time pressed on her thoughts. Every minute felt heavier than the last. The cold grew sharper, and the daylight started to soften, though the sun was still up. Rowan sat quietly in the car, clutching the wool cap, whispering his father's name again and again like a prayer. Mara kept glancing back at him, silently promising she wouldn't let the day end like this. As she drove slowly along the road, something caught her eye. A broken branch, tire tracks leading off at an odd angle, almost erased by fresh snow. She stopped, heart pounding, and followed the marks on foot. The ditch was there, shallow but wide, and at the bottom sat an old sedan tilted awkwardly. Inside was a man slumped forward, barely conscious, his face pale against the dark interior. Relief hit her so fast it nearly knocked the breath from her lungs. Emergency services arrived quickly after her call, pulling the man out and wrapping him in blankets. He was alive, injured but breathing, and his first question, weak and desperate, was about his son. Back in the patrol car, Rowan watched as the ambulance doors closed. When Mara told him his father had been found and March 4th was going to be okay, something extraordinary happened. The fear that had locked his small body finally let go. His shoulders sagged, his eyes filled again, but this time the tears were different. They were the kind that come when hope finally wins. Mara felt her own eyes burn, surprised by how deeply the moment reached her. What shocked everyone later wasn't just that she found Rowan's father. It was what she did next. After her shift ended, Mara didn't go home. She followed the ambulance to the hospital to make sure Rowan wasn't alone. She stayed through paperwork, phone calls, and long waiting hours under bright hospital lights. She contacted social services, arranged warm clothes, and sat beside Rowan until his father was stable enough to see him. She held that small family together when the system might have scattered them apart. Word of her actions spread quickly. People spoke about the female cop who refused to treat the situation like just another case number. But for Mara, it wasn't about praise. Watching Rowan curl up beside his recovering father, safe and warm, she felt something heal inside her too. She remembered why she had chosen this job in the first place, back when she believed one person could still make a difference. Before you reach the end, please take a moment to comment and share your thoughts below. Your words help stories like this reach more hearts. As the day faded into evening, the winter sun finally dipping low, Mara stepped outside the hospital into the cold air again. The world looked the same, snow still piled high, roads still long and uncertain. But something had shifted. A child who started the day lost had found his way back. A father who feared the worst was given another chance. And a woman in uniform was reminded that compassion is sometimes the most powerful tool she carries. If this story touched your heart, moved you, or reminded you of the power of kindness, please like, comment, and engage with this video.